His knowledge of all things manufacturing is unbelievable. His passion for growing the workforce is undeniable. His story is inspiring. Drew Crowe is a force of nature and a host on the Creators Lounge.
The Creators Lounge is proud to welcome Okuma.
IMTS, what's up? We are back with one of probably the best interviews that you're going to see today. I've got some big dogs in the building from Okuma. Fellas, what's going on? Wade Anderson and Tim Thiessen, thanks for joining me on the couch today.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
We always have a great time coming to these shows, and this makes it a whole lot funner.
Most definitely, most definitely. And we get to inspire the extraordinary, and let's start doing that. I really like to talk about stories and journeys of getting into manufacturing because, as you know, I'm a big workforce guy, right? And I know that there's a kid out here right now, no matter what that story is, that's looking for a good job, looking for a good pathway into a meaningful career. Can you start with Wade telling me about how you got into manufacturing and what your pathway kind of looked like to get on this couch?
Absolute accident. So I thought I was going to be the next Chip Foose, Boyd Coddington hot rod builder. You know, that's kind of what I had my career path set on. Going through school, and I was a terrible student. It really wasn't until I got out of school and I was working at a local manufacturing plant because I was making more money as a machine helper at that point back in the early 90s than I was farming out resumes to all these automotive shops and things, and I'm making more money doing the manufacturing side than I was trying to be a mechanic. And I thought, well, I'll just do this long enough until I finally kind of get a break as a mechanic, and 30 some years later here I am, right? So yeah, that was kind of my journey. I cut my very first chip on an Okuma LB15 in the early 90s at a company called Wholeset, and one thing led to another, and now I work for the company. Been here a little over 19 years now.
And tell us a little bit about what you do there at Okuma.
So I'm the Vice President of Engineering and Automation. So I've done a lot of things over the years. Started with the company as an application engineer, grew from that into inside sales, went into outside sales, managed our tech centers, and eventually moved back into engineering, where I lead all the engineering and automation for the company.
So, just really quickly before we get to Tim, you know, there's an opportunity out there. You just got to get in, right? And there's so many ways that you could take this career. I started on the machine shop floor myself, and look at us here right now. This is not something that you would typically think of as a career trajectory or pathway, but the more you get into it, the more work you put in, the more better outcomes you can have. Is that right?
Absolutely, and there's so many different avenues that you can do in this field, from the programming to the mechanics to the maintainability of it, all the way to people leadership. And that's where, depending on what you want to do in life, there's a lot of avenues to get you there.
I love it. I love it. Tim, how about you? What brought you to this couch today?
Well, I mean, you mentioned, people that may be new to the industry or young people. This is a playground. And I've always been somebody that was kind of mechanically minded, liked to know how things worked, and really had a couple buddies from college that started with Okuma back in Long Island, New York. And they told me, hey, it's a great place to work. There was a position of application engineer. I was intimidated about the title of an engineer, but the ability to come there, be taught how to run a machine, making parts, and every day was a new part that needed to be made and made better. So it's just been an exciting career to be in this industry.
I love that. And that's another thing for anybody that's watching right now that's struggling with what to do in the industry. I was a teacher for 4 years, and I taught at the college level. And there was a lot of kids that were really, really into the machines themselves, not necessarily the machining side of it, right? And things would break down there at the tech school. I'm not going to say who we were using. They weren't Okumas, but they would break down. It would be tough to get somebody in quick enough to fix this machine so I can continue teaching. And now we're looking at trying to do more book work, and we're scrambling because we can't make parts anymore. And there's kids that are like, oh no, let me move this way cover and they're really, really into what they do. So anybody that's watching out there right now, you might be in a machining program, you might be looking at ways to get into manufacturing. Applications engineers will get you to travel. You'll be able to go into different shops and really, really dig in these machines. So take a look at those careers as well. Was that something that drove you into continuing to grow with the company, starting on that level?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, the job enabled us to travel the world. And, everything in this world that we see made by a human being had something to do with a machine tool. And you come to realize that after a period of time. So whether it's plastic, glass, metal, whatever it is, and your mind starts to blow up with all the possibilities. So obviously you could be interested in running a machine tool, repairing it. Maybe you like the robots. Maybe you're into the probing and all the different kinds of things. So it's, again, as I said, with a playground, there's just a gazillion types of technologies and something for everyone.
I love it. And with that, we have to take a quick break to hear some words from our sponsors, but hold tight because we'll be right back with more.
You are watching The Creators Lounge. Gain insights as our hosts talk to expert guests about key industry topics. Come see the action live on the trade show floor. Visit booth 338 600. See you at The Creators Lounge.
And we're back with my guys from Okuma, and during the break a little bit, right before the break, we talked about workforce. We talked about kids getting excited and finding different things to lean into to make this career a career for them. And for me personally, it was actually on an Okuma Genus Lathe. It was the first time that I was able to have a touchscreen controller. And the way that changed my outlook on my career and gave me more confidence in knowing a layout or even wanting to learn a layout of a controller really made me dig in more and really, find something that can make me grab onto this career and continue to grow. What technologies or trends are you seeing in machining and manufacturing that's kind of helping, bring us into the next level?
Well, I'm going to speak to it a little bit from kind of a selfish avenue, being on the automation side of the company or doing a lot with automation. I look at our schools. I have the opportunity to sit on the school board for our local school district. We have kids in the 2nd and 3rd grade programming robots. So you take kids from 2nd and 3rd grade, they're growing up in that environment. They are much more comfortable jumping into automation, looking at a system that has an HMI that's a tablet. That's a comfort level for them. They're already exposed to it, so it's easy for them to slide into that arena. So I think between the power of the control, all the digital age, all the technology that's going into the machining environment and the automation, how all these things tie together, the way that we're getting exposure at such a young age is going to help us all in the future.
I agree. I've got a word for those kids that you talked about. I call them the screenagers, right? Because those iPads and those things are native to them. It's almost like air to them,
Yeah.
right? And when we put that type of technology into machines, now that's that comfort level and that familiarity level. Timothy?
Yeah, I was going to add that I think it's really important that things can be intuitive. One of the things when I started with Okuma 30 years ago is we do a lot of things graphically. And so it's easy to understand. You don't have to necessarily learn what the buttons are. It kind of leads you into that. And I think the other thing, as much as we can expand the imagination, right? So it's not necessarily a new trend, but combining operations, or could we do this and that at the same time, is really important. That's what feeds ingenuity.
As a machinist, just going back and hearing you say these things, the combination, can we do this and that? And Okuma was the first machine that I had G-code and conversational. And I knew G-code, and it's like, okay, well, I can do it like this. And now, because I know how to use this machine and use G-code in this machine, now I can learn conversational on this same machine and add to my skill set and even open up the possibilities of my own career, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the automation side, because when we think of Okuma, sometimes we really just think about machine tools, right? And we don't think about everything else Okuma does. Let's help familiarize people with what else Okuma offers outside of just the machine tools.
Certainly. So when you look at where the industry is going in general. The trend is bringing in more and more automation for a variety of reasons. So that was the leading factors. I'm getting tongue-tied to really start the Okuma Factory Automation team, is to be able to help productize automation for our North American market. So we have a lot of automation that's offered to us from our parent company, Okuma Japan, from pallet pools and gantry loaders and robotic systems. And then now with this team, we have a team of engineers that we can do custom integrations. We're productizing things that really speak to the local market. So we range from single machine, one robot systems to gantries that could load a single machine to multiple machines to FMS systems feeding horizontals or 5-axis, or FMS systems feeding horizontals and a lathe cell with a robotic cell. So we can really take it from very simple, how do you crawl, walk, run? How do we take it from simple all the way up to the most complex?
And you guys are there to help and support the whole way there.
All the way through, between our teams, our application engineers, our factory automation engineers, and all of our distributor network. We have the greatest distributors in the world, and they all have teams that are really well suited and highly educated on automation.
All right, and we're going to hold the thought right there. Give us 1 minute, and we'll be right back after this word from our sponsors. So not only do you all have an amazing, beautiful, well-lit booth that is, probably one of the biggest ones in the show, but you guys are dropping some major, major heat at this show. Can you tell me about these 3 new machines that are going to debut, or that have debuted here live at IMTS?
Sure will. And I'm actually going to start with the star of the show, which is the control. So the P500 control is the star of our booth. It's on every machine in the booth. And so the machines that we should talk about are the LB2000 EX MYW and the 4000 EX MYW. And they're a continuation on our best-selling lathe, which is the LB3000. So we're excited to bring that to the show. It gives the customer a range of size of which they can deal with. And then also the MA4000H, which is at the back of our booth. Just a sturdy, fast, and we're excited about the future of that 400 size millimeter horizontal.
I was hoping he wasn't just going to stick on lathes, because he was a lathe application engineer long before he got into sales. I love horizontals, so you started in with lathe. I thought, I'm going to plug in the horizontal.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. There's something else that I heard. There's a deal that you all are giving here at the show as well. And when somebody told me about that, I was like, there's no way. There is no way that this is happening, but this is happening. Can you guys tell me about...
Are we talking 5 to life?
Can you tell me about the 5
Well, I'm the
to
sales
life?
guy, so
Yes.
more people tend to believe the engineers, so I'll let Wade talk about the warranty. Go ahead, Wade.
Okay.
So we're offering a 5-year warranty, bumper to bumper, on the machine itself, and then we're offering a lifetime warranty on the control. And I think that really speaks to our strength as not only a machine tool builder, but also a control builder. So when you look at an Okuma machine, you're looking at Okuma iron, Okuma motors, drives, that entire motion system. We have complete control over that. It gives us opportunity to build a really fine-tuned piece of equipment, but it's something we can stand behind.
I think the other thing to add is it's supported by the best distributor network in the country. And so we can provide the parts and we can do those things, but you need the people that are behind that as well. Yep.
let's bust open this control a little bit more and get a little bit deeper. Can you tell me maybe some of the main features on this control that's going to help a machine shop, up their game and maybe elevate, maybe go from, doing smaller jobs or just a few jobs here or there to maybe getting into an industry that has bigger margins, or maybe getting from one machine because it's doing so well into another machine? How can we help those manufacturers that are out here looking for, the machine that's going to take their shop to the next level?
One of the things for me that's super important is just the power of the control itself. I go back to talking about trends, right? You look at the trends in manufacturing, multifunction machining, doing more with 5-axis mill turn machines, and combining things like tool center point control with collision avoidance software, and having enough computing horsepower to handle that in a really strong environment. That's one of the key features that the P500 control is a big jump in technology from what we had from the P300 control. The connectivity of the control itself, more and more, the days of back when Tim and I were running machines and it was just a standalone machine and you're doing G&M code on the machine, those days are over. We have to connect to a lot of peripheral devices, data collection. You can only manage what you can measure. So being able to measure your processes, understanding what is causing that spindle to stop, is going to give you the tools to be able to drive your business into the next level.
I think what I would add to that, I mentioned intuitive before, but friendliness to the operator, friendliness to adding automation and things like that. So a lot of that has been implemented on the P500 to just make it that much more better for the operator on the machine.
That actually sounds like music to my ears, not only as someone who came into the industry as, a person that had no idea what manufacturing was on accident, like you know what I'm saying? And I got in and I started on the shop floor, sweeping, cleaning the machines and cutting the material and giving it to the machinist. I knew I wanted to get on a machine. I knew I wanted to run these machines. I knew I wanted to make things, but I was so intimidated by crashing, by not being able to read what's going on in this machine. The older controllers that used to be blacked out with either green or orange writing on there, right? So having an intuitive machine that has crash sensors that it's lit up and it looks like something you've done before really eases the mind of newer workers that are coming into the industry.
Sure.
Is that ease something that were kind of thinking about, not having a big gap before they can understand and use this control?
I'll give you an example of just how technology is leveling up. We have a cell in the back called the Smart Twin cell. That's got a Yaskawa robot, a lift-up stalker table, an LB3000 machine. So there's a lot of technology in a space half the size of what we're sitting in right now. And the programming of that system is all done in a virtual environment. So you can sit at your desk, do all the programming setup work on it. The robot virtual environment is tied with our collision avoidance software. So when we send that to the cell controller, it's looking at the collision avoidance of our machine and verifying, is the robot going to hit anything in its path? Is the machine tool going to hit anything in its path? So that's where that digital age of manufacturing is meeting real shop world environment.
And you know what? I am excited about talking about it, but I think we're going to kick it to Justin right now. He's actually at the booth, and he's going to show us exactly what we've been talking about so we can put eyes on it. All right. So if you can't see the controller, if we don't have a lot of that, they'll be here. You'll see the big blue Okuma signs. They're lit up. They probably got the biggest screen. And if you can't see the screen, you can't use your eyes, just use your ears. They're ringing that bell. People are grabbing these machines like crazy. We've been hearing it all the time. Gentlemen, thank you for spending time with me on the couch. Thank you for your time. Now my mind is blown. I'm about to go to the Okuma playground. Any closing words for anybody that's watching?
Well, we just really appreciate and value the time that you've spent with us. We thank everybody that's come to this show. This is a great environment. It's a great opportunity to see the highest level of technology in manufacturing.
Yeah, come see us. We'd love to give you a personal tour.
Get that 5 to life, baby.